Another great week of racing. Welcome back to Not Another Moto Pod, hosted by Sam Fury. Episode 9, we're going to recap round 7, the Arlington Triple Crown. Triple Crowns are always a blast to watch. I love watching them in person. These things have really shaken up the series since their introduction, I believe back in 2017. So, like I said, really fun to watch, give it a lot of action, and really put some results out there every now and then that are not typical, which really helps to shake things up. So really fun week that we had here, and yet again, round 7, we've had 7 good rounds of racing in both classes. So back to the 250 West this week, and as I did last time at the Triple Crowns, I'll go race by race and then jump into the overall. So let's start with the 250s. So 250 race 1, no surprise here. First place we have Hayden Deegan. Deegan looks to be back to form. This is kind of what we've expected of him this series, and this is kind of what we expected preseason from Hayden Deegan. Just see this all-out speed where he can really go wherever he wants and make passes whenever he needs to. Good ride from Hayden Deegan. Not a good start. Another week here with not a good start. Still probably the only thing he really needs to work on. He definitely had more intensity than the rest of the class. Definitely, was able to make passes pretty quickly, especially after going down at about the 8.5 minute mark. These are, of course, only 10 minutes long, so you got to make passes quick, and Hayden did that. With about 6.5 minutes left in the race, he was still eighth place, and he worked his way up to first pretty easily. It looked like, man, the only person up there that would have stopped him, Jordan Smith, made a move on him. After Hayden went for the pass, Jordan Smith made a move back on him, I should say, with about a minute left in the race, and stood Hayden up, and Hayden was unable to get back to Jordan's wheel. So it did look like Jordan was going to finish there. Of course, he crashed, and Deegan was able to take the win here. So good race from Deegan. Second place, we have Cody Schock. Awesome ride from Schock. Awesome start. He rode up front all race. Schock looked good, and he looked feisty up there with Jordan early. He was making moves trying to get by Shimoda as well. Shimoda went down in the sand section after Smith passed for first. Schock, of course, went off the track getting passed by Jordan Smith and was able to do a sick transfer back in to stay up there in second place. So a really good ride and a really good way to start the night for Cody Schock. Third place, we have Michael Mosman. Mosman looked fast all day. He's really rounding back into form these last couple weeks, so really good ride for Mosman there. Fourth place, Cole Davies. Davies, not a great start as well. He actually ran into the back of Deegan when Deegan went down at about the 8.5 minute mark, so they were roughly in the same spot early in the race, and so Cole Davies made a pretty good charge late race to get up to fourth. Joe Shimoda, fifth place. Joe had his probably his first whole shot of the year outside of race number 1, where of course he won at Anaheim 1. Shimoda looked good. Shimoda looked fast. Jordan Smith got him at about the 6.5 minute mark. And then he did unfortunately make a mistake in the sand section and went down where he got passed by a couple guys there and kind of went backwards. But good for him to finish up in fifth there. Julian Beaumer, sixth place. We know now that Juju hurt his shoulder in qualifying and was not 100% on the night. So Juju was pretty invisible in this first race, was around the 7-8-9 range and finished sixth. So we did expect better from Juju, but of course learning that he is hurt after the fact kind of explains that. Seventh place, Garrett Marchbanks. The only bad thing about these Triple Crowns on TV is that you don't get to see many battles in the back of the pack because there's so much action going on up front. So, Garrett Marchbanks, seventh place, didn't see him at all. He was not on TV much at all. Eighth place, Lux Turner. Really good ride for Lux, actually. He rode up front. I think he was in the 4 or 5 range for quite a while. Quietly, a good night for him. Obviously, got passed by a lot of factory guys here, but what do you expect from those guys? So good ride for Lux in eighth. Ninth place, Enzo Lopes. 10th place, Dylan Walsh. 11, Cole Thompson. 12, Parker Ross. Ross has been up there early in most of these Triple Crowns, dating back to the last Triple Crown that we saw. So not a good ride here from him. For Ross, based on what we know he can do in these Triple Crowns. 13th, Dylan Schwartz, his first main event of the year. 14th, Jet Reynolds. 15th, Nick Thury. 16th, Hunter Yoder. 17th, TJ Albright. 18th, Josh Faries. This 18, 19, 20, 21, these guys battled pretty much all night in this spot. It was actually probably some good racing going on based on the timing and scoring. watching throughout the race. Just a shame we didn't get to see much of this on TV. 19th, Gavin Towers. 20th, Anton Nordstrom, Swedish guy, his first ever main event, qualified right in from his time. Didn't have to go through the LCQ. So good for Anton Nordstrom here. Of course, Jordan Smith, 21st, and Avery Long, 22nd. Long was down in the whoops before Jordan went down, and I'm assuming neither of them finished the race. We know Jordan got carted off with a punctured lung after riding really well. He looked really fast. It looked like the only guy who could maybe had something for Deegan on the night, but unfortunately went down in the whoops with about a lap and a half to go. And that will likely be the end of his season. If not, that's definitely going to be the end of his championship run. They did report a punctured lung on the night for Jordan Smith. On to 250 race 2. Again, Hayden Deegan with another win here. Basically replicated his first race. He was on rails. It was unbelievable. I shouldn't even say unbelievable because we've seen him do it before in outdoors and in SMX, but this is the first time we're seeing this kind of speed. In the Supercross series from Hayden Deegan, well, obviously we knew he had it. He made up a 1.5-second gap on Michael Mosman in 4 corners on the last lap and made it stick in the 5th corner and just sprinted away. It really was quite a sight to see. Another bad start from Deegan, but at this point, he was on rails. It was his night to win. Second place, Michael Mosman. Like I said, he was up front. He had that lead on Hayden. He was leading the entire race. He basically led 10 plus a lap and a half and didn't come away with the win here. But of course, Deegan was just next level. But a really good ride from Mosman. Garrett Marchbanks said he was invisible in race 1, and he was up front in race 2. So really cool to get to see what Marchbanks is capable of with a start. We obviously know that being a big guy on the 250s, a start is very important for him, and it's not always capable of doing so. So really good ride for him in 3rd. 4th place, Cody Schock, another great ride. Kind of ran all by his lonesome in 4th. Lost touch with the front 3 about midway through and just kind of rode all his own to a safe 4th place. Joe Shimoda, another 5th, really good ride from him. Got some pressure from Beaumare about halfway through the race and held him off, so good for Joe. 6th place, best ride of the season for Enzo Lopes, good finish for him. 7th, Lux Turner, again, another really good start, and the only guys who passed him really were those factory guys, and then, of course, Enzo, but a really good ride from Lux Turner. 8th place, Juju. It looked like in race 2 there was a jump line that developed through the whoops. I wonder if this is what helped Juju to kind of get some speed back. Obviously, knowing if his shoulder was injured, blitzing the whoops in race 1 would be a problem. So maybe that's where Juju picked up some speed. He was challenging Shimoda for 5th about halfway through the race, and then of course went down in the sand section. So unfortunate for Juju, but he remounted and finished in 8th. 9th place, Jet Reynolds. Didn't see much of him on the night in either of the 3 races. Same goes for Hunter Yoder in 10th, Gavin Towers in 11th, Dylan Walsh in 12th. 13th, Cole Thompson. Thompson really screwed Cole Davies in the first turn. I don't know what he was doing, but he took Thompson. He took Cole Davies out of this race and then went back to 13th. So not a great night for Cole Thompson. 14th, TJ Albright. 15th again, Nick Thury. 16th, Avery Long, a good bounce back from that 22nd race 1. 17th, Cole Davies. He was up to 11th after being last, after going down on the start. And I'm assuming he went down again with about 2 minutes left. We saw Parker Ross off the side of the track, and Davies and Ross dropped down the timing scoring together. We didn't see Davies go down, but I'm wondering if that's what happened there. So unfortunate for Davies, a second crash, we're assuming, to drop him back to 17th after he had gotten back to 11th. 18th, Dylan Schwartz, again, his first main events of the year. 19th, Josh Faries. 20th, Parker Ross. Ross actually was up in the top 4, 5, 6, I believe, early in the race. He did get a good start, and then looked like he went down more than once. He dropped back to about 16th, and then next time I looked up, he was back in 20th, and of course we saw him off the side of the track. So 20th for Parker Ross, not a great night for him. And then 21st, of course, Anton Nordstrom. And then 22nd, Jordan Smith did not start, of course, the second or third race on the night due to his injury. Race three, 250s. We got a bit more variation here. First place, our winner, Cole Davies. Davies really bounced back from that rough race two. We did actually see on the broadcast that Davies went down going to pick his starting gate prior to the race. And then he almost compounded it for about a minute and a half there following Cody Schock. A couple laps in, he made quite a few mistakes, saved every single one of them, and then he turned into Ken Roczen. He got out front and did the most perfect laps you could see. That's what we've seen a lot from Davies. He is perfect when he is up front and unbothered. But we still see that he is still a bit of a kid when pressuring or being pressured. He does make a few mistakes here and there. Fortunately, none have been detrimental. He's riding really good right now, so really good to see Cole Davies get back up there up front. Second place, Hayden Deegan. Deegan, a really good ride. Didn't have to move forward too many positions. Obviously, had the overall pretty wrapped up. Did make some good moves on Juju. They had a bit of a cat and mouse. If I'm Juju there, I might think about putting Hayden Deegan down. Honestly, knowing the night that he's had and knowing the night that I've had, the only chance for you to keep the red plate and make up points would be for Deegan to somehow go down there. And I mean, they were playing it pretty close. Obviously, Juju is a much better rider than I can obviously put his bike where he wants it. And same for Deegan. But Deegan gets away with this stuff. He's the fastest guy. He's backed everything up. So good for him. 1-1-2 on the night for Deegan. Third place, Joe Shimoda. Joe moved up late in the race. He looked pretty good. Not a bad start, top 5 start. And just slowly moved forward. So good for Joe. Made a good pass on Juju. Fourth place was Juju. Juju got up front with Cole early in this race and, got back to what we have expected from Juju. He did find some speed in these later races as compared to race one. So good for Juju to finish fourth. He did look to have third wrapped up and gave that spot away to Joe Shimoda late. Fifth place, Marchbanks. I think Marchbanks started 5, 6, 7, finished in fifth. So good for him. A pretty good night for Garrett Marchbanks from what we've seen lately and knowing that his shoulder is pretty injured. Sixth place, Cody Schock. Cody Schock actually got the whole shot here, held off Cole Davies for about 3 minutes, and then held off Deegan for a little bit, held off Juju for a little bit, held off Marchbanks for a little bit. At the very end, he had to hold off Mosman for that podium position. And as we saw on TV, he did so at the finish line. So a good night for Schock. He definitely probably used up a lot of energy out front early in this race, where he went backwards the way that he did compared to the first 2 races of the night, but a really good finish from Cody Schock. Seventh, Michael Mosman. Mosman started around 7 and didn't really have much this race. Again, looks like maybe he had lost some energy or used them up early in race 1 and 2, or he's just really good at math and knew that he was in third place all along. So good for Mosman. Eighth, Enzo Lopes. Enzo's best night of the year. Ninth place, Lux Turner, yet again, a really good night for Lux. 10th place, Parker Ross, making up for those 2 bad finishes in race 1 and 2. 11th, Hunter Yoder. 12th, Avery Long, got better and better as the night went on. 13th, Jet Reynolds. 14th, Cole Thompson. 15th, Dylan Walsh. 16th, Dylan Schwartz. 17th, Nick Thury. 18th, Towers. 19th, Albright. 20th, Anton Nordstrom. 21st, Josh Faries. These guys, 10 to 22 on the night were pretty much the same guys and just swapping positions, plus 1 or plus 2 here and there. So good night for all 3 main events. So quick review of the overall. Hayden Deegan, of course, first place, 1-1-2 on the night. Cody Schock, his first ever podium, looked really good again on the night. 2-4-6 for second place, Cody Schock. Third place, Michael Mosman, his first podium in who knows how long. I think this dates back to 2022. Obviously, he had retired for a while. We saw him once or twice last year. Early this season, he didn't look great, and he's just gotten better and better as the weeks have gone on and ends up on the podium. Fourth place, Joe Shimoda. 5.53 on the night. Looks to be getting a bit better from his finger injury, but just not the guy that we saw in round 1, unfortunately. We all know that was not, his fault when he broke his finger. So just an unfortunate season for Joe, but he does really look to have something this season as compared to in the past. Where he's had some weirdo rides early in the season and kind of come on strong late. Here we are 5 rounds in, and Joe's been a factor in every one of these, as much as he can be with that broken finger. Fifth place, Garrett Marchbanks, his best ride of the season. 6th, Juju, 6.84 in the night. Of course, we expect more from Juju, but again, learning about his shoulder. Hopefully he can get better over the break that we have. We have an East-West shootout in 2 weeks here, so maybe he can get a week off and feel a bit better for that. Seventh place, Cole Davies. It's really unfortunate to have that 17 in race 2. He had 4:17.1, so he really could have salvaged another good night. Maybe with a 4:10.1 or something, but just unfortunate for that 17th in race 2. Eighth, Enzo Lopes, really good ride. His best rides of the season, 9.68. So really good to see him back in the top 10. We know that's where he belongs. Lux Turner, 8.79 on the night. Clearly his best race of the season. Really good to see Lux Turner. Really interested to see how he looks moving forward, and possibly, picking up maybe a better ride than AEO. He's doing really good on the AEO bike and was kind of an unknown until last year. So good for Lux Turner. 10th place, Jet Reynolds. Good overall for him. Not great racing on the night. Didn't get to see him too much on TV, but a good finish overall for Jet Reynolds. Hopefully we can see him in the top 10 more often. 11th place, Hunter Yoder, 16:10.11. Yoder's been flirting with this, 9 to 13 range, so really good for Yoder. Dylan Walsh, kind of a silent night. Cole Thompson, 11, 13, 14. 14th, Parker Ross. Parker Ross, again, could have had a much better night, if not for that 20th. He went 12, 20, 10 for 14th place. Dylan Schwartz in his first appearance of the year, 15th. Nick Thury, 15, 15, 17 for 16th place. Gavin Towers, 17th, where we've seen him all year long between 17 and 21. Avery Long, 18th. TJ Albright, 19th. Josh Faries, 20th. And, of course, Anton Nordstrom, 21st. I saw his Instagram later. After the night, it was his first SX point. So really good for him. And then, of course, Jordan Smith with a 22 on the night and will likely be out of the championship. With that, the points now go to Deegan. Deegan now has a 6-point lead over Juju and a 22-point lead over Cole Davies. I hate to say it, but we can only hope that these East-West shootouts produce some funky results and get some guys back in this points race. Shimoda is like 24 points back as well, so not expecting to see much of a battle going on, especially if Juju's injury is more than expected. But again, really hoping that some of these East-West shootouts can produce some maybe cuckoo results and get the guys back in here. Obviously, we're only 5 rounds in, so we don't want this to become a runaway with Deegan. And again, injured on the night, it does look like Jordan Smith is going to be out of this thing. So moving forward into the 450 class. 450 race 1, another really exciting night in the 450 class, of course. Every race this year has just been great, really exciting, with a lot going on. So race 1, Ken Roxon took the win. Was really excited with the way that Kenny's been riding lately. He looked good last week, of course, gave up the lead on the last lap, well, close to the end of the race, but opposite this week. He stalked Justin Cooper all race and made the move with about a minute and a half left in the race. Really good ride for him. These two guys were out front all alone. Roxon did actually make a mistake going into the last lap with about 15 seconds left that I think actually saved him enough time to not cross the timeline before time ran out, which would have afforded them an extra lap. So I think Kenny's mistake there actually saved him having to hold off Jay Coop for another lap. So, but a really good ride from Ken Roxon, obviously keeping momentum from last week. Second place, Justin Cooper. This may be the best Justin Cooper ride we've seen in a while, maybe aboard the 450. We know he's had some podiums, and he's a really quick guy. But getting his starts back to where they need to be, being up front in that fight all race was really good to see from him. Like I said, these two guys actually broke away from the rest of the pack, which, considering the guys in this pack who are really fast, maybe that's a bit surprising. Third place was Chase Sexton. I was really shocked, just to compound on that point, that Sexton didn't go chase these guys down early in the race. They actually built up quite a gap on him. So odd race for Sexton, in my opinion. Maybe bike setup, I'm not really sure. But with the all-out speed that we've seen from Sexton, we kind of expected him to see him up front with two guys that we know are not quite as fast as him, but obviously have put it together. Fourth place, Justin Hill. Justin Hill rode really great all day. Obviously, he qualified quickest on the day. He actually passed Chase Sexton early in the race for third. Chase got him a couple turns after and kind of held on from there, but a good ride from Justin Hill to finish in fourth. Fifth place, Justin Barsha. Barsha actually rode forward. Barsha's been a 7-8 guy all year, so a really good ride for him to ride forward. And then he held off sixth place Cooper Webb for about 3.5 minutes. Webb was moving forward as well and came up on Barsha, and these guys had quite a battle. Actually, from about the 3.5 minute mark, plus 2 laps, of course, so till the end of the race. So good ride from both of these guys. Cooper had a pretty rough start, so good for him to move forward. Seventh place, Aaron Plessinger. He was actually gaining on Jason Anderson at some point. Obviously, Anderson went down, and AP inherited seventh. Didn't see too much from him in this race on TV, of course. Neither from 8th place Malcolm Stewart, 9th place Dylan Ferrandis, 10th place Mitchell Oldenburg. I didn't see much of these guys on TV, but really good rides from everybody to finish up in that top 10 where they belong. 11th place Joey Savacci. A good ride from Joey where he belongs in that top 10 range. It has dawned on me that Joey in 11th and Shane McElrath in 13th were racing with black backgrounds. I find that hilarious, knowing that these two are the two guys that were forced to move out of the 250 class due to the point out rule a few years ago. So, of course, riding with the traditional 250 black backgrounds on Military Appreciation Night. Obviously a one-off, but I just thought that was funny. 12th place Jason Anderson was up front early, actually battling forward, and then it looked like maybe he gassed out because he started going backwards pretty quick. Barsha got him, Webb got him, and as I said, AP was charging on him, and then obviously Jason Anderson eventually went down in the sand and ended up 12th here, so unfortunate first race for JA. 13th, as I touched on, Shane McElrath. 14th, Colt Nichols. 15th, Jerry Robin, good finish for Jerry. 16th, Chiz. 17th, Benny Bloss. Something happened to Benny here. I think he was top 10, top 12 early, and he went backwards. 18th, Mitchell Harrison. 19th, Justin Starling. Starling has bounced back pretty good these last couple of weeks to get in, I believe, 3 main events in a row. So really good riding lately from Justin Starling. 20th, Scott Meshy. I don't know where that came from, but good for Scott Meshy, 20th place. First main event of the year, first main event in a couple years, I believe, actually. 21st, Grant Harlan. I believe he DNF'd, as well as 22nd, Anthony Rodriguez, who we saw go down early in race 1. 450 race 2, Cooper Webb doing Cooper Webb things. What do you say? First place, obviously, here in the second race. Waited patiently behind Chase Sexton and Justin Cooper. Waited for Chase to make a mistake the way he does, unfortunately. And then made a good move, a key move on Justin Cooper to take the lead about halfway through the race, and then just holding on. Sexton came up to him late in the race to try to make a pass back, but Coop had enough left to hold on for the win here. So good bounce back ride from Cooper Webb after a rough main event 1. Second place, Chase Sexton. Watching these races back to do these reviews and just shaking my head all over again at the things that Chase does sometimes. He is obviously the fastest rider on the track. He just makes these silly mistakes where he is pushing way too hard, way too soon in moments that are just not quite necessary. We saw that. So he got by Jay Coop, made a mistake in a turn, and Jay Coop got him back, and then obviously spent about the rest of the lap chasing back to get to Jay Coop's wheel, and then just kind of forced it in a little too close and took himself down. Obviously fortunate to get back to second. Chase obviously has the speed for things like that, but just unfortunate to know what could have been. Chase could have taken a pretty easy win here had he gotten by Jay Coop, but just been a bit more patient the way that Webb was. Third place, Jay Coop. Another great start, another great ride from Justin. No shame in getting passed by guys like Ken Roxon, Cooper Webb, and Chase Sexton in these first 2 races. So really good ride from Jay Coop. Maybe the best riding we've seen from him this season. Fourth place, Justin Hill, yet again. Just a really good, quiet ride by himself. Did the laps with speed. Just really solid riding here from Hill. Fifth place, Ken Roxon, unable to back up his win in race 1. Unfortunate enough to be behind Barsha and Anderson, who are 2 guys who are terribly difficult to get by, but fortunate enough that these goofballs Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Admittedly, two of my favorite riders did take each other out. So Roxon cruised his way in a fifth, but at that point he was quite far behind, unable to make a push. Sixth place, Dylan Ferrandis, a really good ride for him. Solid night for Dylan. Seventh, AP again. AP, a good night, just not really on TV much so far. The unfortunate thing, again, I said this in the 250 wrap up, is that a lot of these guys, if you're not up front in the battle or getting lapped, since there is so much action, you don't get a lot of TV time despite riding well. Eighth place here, Joey Savacci. Ninth, Justin Barcia after getting taken out by Anderson. 10th place, Shane McElrath. 11th, Mitchell Oldenburg. And this brings up one of my gripes with the TV package on these Triple Crowns. About halfway through the race, you see 12 through 22. You don't get to see the running order. All you see is points as they run, which unfortunately, when these guys aren't getting TV time, unless you're following live timing on the app or elsewhere, you're really not getting to see anything results-wise. So some quiet nights from the rest of these guys as far as TV coverage goes. 12th place, Malcolm Stewart. We did see him down at one point in the race on the turn after the finish line. 13th, Colt Nichols. 14th, Jerry Robin. 15th, Anthony Rodriguez. A good bounce back from his crash in race 1. 16th, Harrison. 17th, Anderson, obviously after taking out Barcia. So a 12-17 to start the night on Anderson. Not what we expected from him. 18th, Justin Starling. 19th, Grant Harlan. 20th, again, Scott Meshy. 21st, Chiz. We saw him down as well in the middle of the race. And then 22nd, Benny Bloss. We did see him down pretty early on that same turn that we did see Mookie on. So I don't believe Benny did finish that race. And cue the excitement for race 3 as the, of course, improbable happens. Cooper Webb he had another win, going 6-1-1 on the night, so just literally unbelievable. RC and Weege calling the race are just had no words, just complete shock that Cooper Webb ends up winning this race with Chase Sexton stalling the bike and then falling again, going after Coop on the last lap. Just literally unbelievable, and the most classic Cooper Webb finish there could be. Second place, Jason Anderson. He was feisty in this race 3, making up for a bad race 1 and 2. Rode around in second a lot of the race, got passed by a couple guys, and then just out of nowhere takes the position back. Late in the race, after Sexton goes down, gets by Roxon, so a really good ride for Jason Anderson to bounce back. Third place, Ken Roxon, who led a lot of this race as someone who had bet on Ken Roxon to win this Triple Crown, and he looked really good through the night. I was really excited to see him up front. Though when Chase got by Jason Anderson with about 7 minutes left, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Chase was going to get by Kenny. And, these guys were going to finish 1-2, and Chase was going to eke him out for the overall. Obviously, that did not happen, but with Roxon unable to get that third race win, he could not get the overall either. Fourth place, Justin Barcia. We saw him tee up Chase Sexton in the last turn. Didn't see a lot of Barcia throughout the race, but again, after Chase's mistakes, these guys just come out of nowhere at that point. They see blood and they come hunt. Fifth place, Chase. I mean, fastest guy in the night. Again, 3 weeks in a row, throws it away. Quite literally threw it away not by stalling for the third time this year, which he still had the overall. Obviously, through the main event 3 went away, but still had the overall on the math and decided with 2 laps to go to chase Cooper Webb, try to assert his dominance. You cannot blame him for going for it, but I mean, dude, just make better decisions, and you're walking out of here with the red plate. Just really unfortunate, and just another mental mistake that we've seen from Chase Sexton. I know I said in the preview pod that, people call Chase Sexton a head case, and I don't believe in that. I'm starting to believe in that. Unfortunately, he's one of my favorite riders out there, but I mean, it's almost undeniable at this point. Unfortunately, we do think Chase will turn it around. Obviously, he's not going to lose his speed, and we know he can string these races together, but we need to get some more some better decision making going quickly, giving Cooper Webb the lead like this. Sixth place, Justin Cooper. Not as good of a start as the other two. Rode around in the 5.78 range, but a good finish for Justin Cooper on the night. Malcolm Stewart, seventh. He got up to third early. I'm not sure what happened, if he went down or just fell back a bit. So seventh place for Mookie. Eighth, Justin Hill. Ninth, Joey Savacci. 10th, Aaron Plessinger, who actually got the whole shot over Ken Roczen to begin this race and took himself off the track in the whoops on the first lap before even crossing the finish line. So bouncing back for a 10th place. 11th, Dylan Ferrandis. 12th, Shane McElrath, who got a good start as well. Went backwards, but he was up in second or third early. 13th, Mitchell Oldenburg. 14th, Benny Bloss, bouncing back from that rough race 2. 15th, Jerry Robin was 15, 14, 15 on the night. Good racing for him. 16th, Mitchell Harrison. 17th, A-Rod. 18th again, Justin Starling. 19th again, Grant Harlan. 20th again, Scott Meshy. Kyle Chisholm here in 21st. We saw him down early in the race. And Colt Nichols in 22nd. We saw him down later in the race. So Kenny's teammates not finishing up great in main event 3. On to the overall. Again, I hinted at it, but Cooper Webb, just unbelievable. There are no words to say about Cooper Webb. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like the way he races. You don't have to think he's good. He's going to be there. He's going to show up every week. That's just what he does. And now he's the sole holder of the red plate as well. Just unbelievable night for Cooper Webb. Second place, Ken Roczen going 1.53. Again, really looked like Kenny was going to get this on the night. There were a few points even in the third race where he did have the overall. And even if Chase had gotten by him and he finished second, he would still hold the overall based on his 2 wins on the night. So unfortunate for him to finish second, letting Anderson get by him, obviously. In that race 3, not ideal. I do still think Kenny's going to win one of these, but he just doesn't really have the speed right now. He's been getting caught early in races, getting caught late in races, just hasn't had that killer instinct and being able to, just ride away from the guys. It's going to take something like we saw in Indy a few years ago where he gets out front with a Justin Barcia and just has to hold somebody like that off all race while everybody else battles in the back of the pack. We're only 7 rounds in. We got 10 left to go. I do expect Kenny to get one of these, but unfortunately the championship is getting a bit out of touch at this point. It's really unfortunate to me that the Tampa crash happened because if he had just finished 4th on the night where he would have, he would be tied right now with Cooper Webb for the red plate. And unfortunately he is down, I think, like 16. So it's just really unfortunate. Third place, of course, Chase Sexton. Man, 3.25 again. He's the fastest guy, but just really unfortunate to go from first to third like that after making just 2 silly mistakes. Obviously, we saw the stall, which again, this is the 3rd time in a race this year that's happened, but he got back up to Webb and just jumped in a little too close, and it looked like they touched wheels, and he was tucking the front already, it seems, but not quite sure he would have gone as much over the bars the way that he did. So unfortunate for him to get 3rd on the night after a really good riding on the night. 4th place, Justin Cooper, his best race of the year again. 2.36, but really good riding up front all night. Really good to see this from Justin Cooper. As I alluded to last week, he's kind of taken Hunter Lawrence's spot in that top 5 with Hunter going out. So that's really good for Justin Cooper, to pounce on these opportunities. 5th place, Justin Hill. It's a really good night from Hill. 6th place, Justin Barcia. I believe that's his best overall finish of the year. AP 7th. That is his best overall of the year. Dylan Ferrandis 8th. I think that ties his best overall of the year. Mookie 9th, just kind of invisible on the night until race 3 when he was up front. Joey Savacci 10th, where he belongs. He's a 7-12 guy, but Joey looks pretty good. Jason Anderson 11th, obviously was much faster on the night, but just 2 really bad instances in race 1 and 2 that obviously pushed him back well beyond where he should have finished. Mitchell Oldenburg 12th. The rest of these guys kind of just swap positions here and there. Shane McElrath 13th. Jerry Robin again 14th. Colt Nichols 15th. Mitchell Harrison 16th. Benny Bloss 17th. A-Rod 18th. Justin Starling 19, 18, 18 on the night for 19th place. Really good finish for Justin Starling. Rough night for Chiz, 20th, and another 21st for Grant Harlan. And Scott Meshy with the most unfortunate stat of the night, going 20-20-20 for 22nd place and 0 points. And as I alluded to, Cooper Webb now takes the red plate going into Daytona, a place where he has been fast. He's been on the podium the last few years, I believe. Maybe last year he was fourth, but he's been fast there. Not his typical style of track, you would think, but he's good at Daytona. Chase Sexton, second place, 5 points back. He's also good at Daytona. I look for Chase to go out and dominate this week, and if not, Cooper Webb is going into Indianapolis with a huge points lead and a huge ego, which could be really dangerous for the rest of the field. Third place, Ken Roczen. I was wrong about 16. He has 19 points down, so almost effectively out of the championship at this point, knowing that Chase Sexton and Cooper Webb are solid. I mentioned this last week. I do expect Chase to have, unfortunately, one of these crashy nights that we've seen from him every season so far. So we'll see. Maybe Roczen gets back in this. Maybe Cooper Webb, something happens to him one night, and Roczen can be right there. For the sake of the championship, we can only hope. Obviously, we don't want anybody to crash. We want a clean championship, but man, it would be awesome to see Kenny stay in there and win a championship no matter what the circumstances. We saw from Chase's 2023 championship that anything is possible with Cooper Webb and Eli going out late in the championship. So hope to see Roczen stay solid and stay up front. That is it. No injuries on the night, fortunately, for the 450 class. So another good week of racing. Looking forward to Daytona next week. Going back to the 250 East class. And then, of course, an East-West shootout the following week in Indianapolis. So if you want to, give us a follow on X, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify at Not Another Moto Pod. And thanks for listening.